Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Captain America Sentinel of Liberty, issue number 7. That's right, we're starting a brand new story arc, and I am already in love with this, and I'm a little bit sad about it also. Let's get talking about who made this comic book first. I'll tell you everything that's about to happen. No major spoilers, but anyway. Writers Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly. Artist Carmen Carnero. Nolan Woodard on color art, and VC's Joe Caramagna doing letters. Excuse me, the cover artists are Carmen Carnero and Alejandro Sanchez. There are 2 variant covers out there, and Captain America is created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. This issue is called this story arc is called The Invader. This issue is called Part 1 on a Monday. Kind of some Solomon Grundy vibes there. 6 issues in a story arc, 7 days of a week. I feel like they maybe skipped over Tuesday? Not sure. I'm not sure. We'll have to see, all right? But this story starts off perfectly. First off, the art. I'm going to get back to the art several times in this review, I imagine, because it was just so perfect. Steve was shot by his best freaking friend and his partner for a long time, and he felt betrayed. It was freaking heart-wrenching, all right? And it's only been dragged out like, crap, I can't believe Bucky did this to me. and like, wow, dude. And you could see the hurt in Steve's face. He's still a big guy, but he's hurting. He's bothered. And you can still see, like, in his eyes, this is the art. You can still see he's searching for a way to cleanse his soul, to see hope, to see that not just a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but to see the light at the end of the tunnel and hope that's not the freaking train coming in. Like, holy crap, dude. This guy is hurt right now. And he's trying not to be broken because he's Captain America. And we don't do flag, upside down. No country in distress here, baby. No, just a man in distress. And he's sitting on the edge of what looks like the East Bay. And all of a sudden from out of the water, somebody says, "You've lost something, Rogers." And I love the double entendre there. Absolutely fantastic. And you see it's Namor. Incredible art. He says, "Care to challenge Namor and take it back?" Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Captain America's like, not exactly a fair fight, old friend. Not in my state. Now, the way that real friends talk to each other, and mind you, these aren't 2 alpha males. All right, alpha males, and nothing bad about alphas or betas or anything like that, because we need all types of people in this world, right? And unfortunately, that also includes the bad people, but alphas and betas, I'm not considering them bad people. But, like, these 2 aren't alpha males. They're more like sigma males, all right? Been watching some YouTube videos lately on sigma males. And these are both people who have a very, very small retinue of friends, but they will refer back to and defer back to these friends at any moment, and they'll be rough with each other. They won't be merciful with each other, so to speak, in a social context, but they'll always have your back. And even if they wind up getting into a fight, it only lasts for but so long. They're still deep friends. And here are 2 Sigma males talking with each other. Not exactly a fair fight, old friend, not in my state. And Namor, instead of saying, "Yeah, I know, you poor little baby, maybe I'll change your diaper for you," or something like that, or instead of saying, "Hey, tough it up, Buttercup," and da-da-da-da, and all this nonsense that he doesn't need, instead he says, "I watched you tear apart a tank with 7 holes in your chest once. Don't pretend that bug bite of a wound would hold you back. It's not about the wound, it's about how you got it." And that right there signifies the friendship between these 2. Guys, this story arc is called The Invaders. Several reasons why this is important. A lot of people don't really get, because most people haven't read the Invaders comic books from back in the day. A lot of people don't care about them, and that's actually perfect. It is perfect because, soldiers have a certain bond with each other. And it's not like a universal thing because everybody, enlists for a different reason, whatever. But soldiers have a certain kind of kinship, you get into a fight with, like, you've got to be broken if you're about to get into a fight with someone, and you suddenly see, like, oh, former Marine or former Army, former Navy, former Coast Guard or Merchant Marine, whatever, Air Force, and the other guys, and the guy says, oh, you serve too? Yeah, and you say whatever. There's usually this unspoken thing where it's like, you know what? We left the war behind us. We left the fighting behind us, whatever it was. Like, we left all that stuff behind us. And the last thing we need, like, what kind of degradation of the country would it be if the two of us fought each other right now? Like, what an absolute betrayal to the oaths we took. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something. It would have to be bigger than whatever this road rage incident or nonsense would be. This minor disagreement that's causing us to want to square up against each other. Try and square off, right? Nah, it's going to take something a whole lot more than that to get us to actually fight each other, and that's something important. And most people don't enlist, so most people won't understand that bond, and that's fine. That's fine. I get it. It's not for everyone. So when some people say, like, it's the invaders, it's in the past, it's da 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 da, yeah, that's also what everybody says about war and the soldiers who fought in them. Oh, I want to thank a vet and hug a vet and da 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 da. Do you know if that vet is living on the street? Do you know if that vet sat, in his garage with a rifle to his head, like on his lap, thinking about putting it in his mouth and just ending it? Like, do you know anything about this? No. You want to feel better about yourself by shaking somebody's hand. I don't want to make you feel bad about, if you don't care enough or at all about a vet. But I want you to understand what goes through the minds of veterans. It's one of the reasons why we can usually bond with each other so well, so tightly. It's a tight-knit community. You don't even have to have gone to war. My generation, very few of us, well, it's not true. I know I didn't go to war. I got out before the 9/11 stuff happened, before, we could be activated, and just, I wasn't going in. I just had my first kid. Just not going to happen. But I know a lot of, my fellow vets who did go back in, and they brought it back. They brought something back with them that they can't tell most people about. Just, it is what it is. It's never pretty, ever. It's never pretty. And these guys have that bond. They share that. They'll never tear each other down. They will always try and build each other up. Oh, I won't let you tear yourself down. I'm going to remind you of how powerful you are. Guys, I could literally have just read these first couple of issues and put the comic book down, walked away, and said, this is the best comic book that came out this week. Easily. But I figured, well, if this was that good, well, I wonder how the rest of it is. And it was amazing. It lived up to the hype that I'd built up just based off of this beginning, just this quick little thing. Like, Namor wasn't standing down, Cap wasn't standing down. And it's funny, like, even when you look at the positioning here, and for me, like, being in the martial arts since I was 8 years old, positioning is one of the most important things in my life. It controls my balance. So when I see Captain America was sitting down and Namor is standing next to him and he's above him, and and it's only the respectful thing to do to stand up when somebody comes up to you. So now Captain America stands up, and now he's on the higher ground, right? And he's looking down on Namor at this point. And here's a representative of the United States and the American dream, realistically, more than anything else. And here's the king of a land, if you could even say that encompasses more of the earth than any other 20 kingdoms combined, and then all the other kingdoms combined. You know what I'm saying? That says something. It says something. And very few people would Namor allow to stand above them, and it shows that implicit respect. If you ever get time, go back and look at the peace negotiations, the ceasefire negotiations for the Korean War, when Russia decided to get involved, and China, of course, with their 10 days of surprise, you're fighting us too. Um, go and look at the way that America had to deal with all of that stuff. You're gonna have this flag on your desk. We're gonna have a flag that's bigger. Oh, we're gonna choose the location and this, that, and the other thing, and we're gonna make sure that our chairs are just a little bit taller than your chairs, so it looks like we're talking down to you. Even though we're in the process of surrendering, we're gonna make it look visually like America is being subjugated in this particular case, and it's amazing the psychological warfare that was being played, even in a treaty that acknowledges we yield, we surrender, please don't come any further, please don't hurt us, you know what I'm saying? Please don't wipe us off the freaking map, right? It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And that's a lot of what I see in this comic book. Everybody involved in this book, man, they really get how to put together an incredible story. If there were no words in this, you would still get a story. And it's all intrinsic. Understanding that body language, it's intrinsic. It's just something that we all understand. Even if you're socially awkward, you still understand one person standing over top of the other, the look on someone's face, the stance that someone takes. Man, there's so much. And again, that's just the opening few pages in this comic book. Later on, Steve is trying to get back to where he's, back to his home. And he's being followed by someone. He turns around and attacks them. It turns out it's a female. In this world where comic books are more about identity politics than anything else, if anybody else were doing this comic book, I'd have probably had a problem with this particular fight on either this side or that side. But the circumstances and the end result, I've got nothing to complain about with this. This was fantastic. Steve being able to call upon a specific close net of friends. And I want you to notice the net of friends, because what Namor says and what everybody else basically implies in this comic book, Steve Rogers can't hide. Steve Rogers isn't somebody who hides in the shadows. He's not the person who's sneaking around because he can't. He's a big flag. You know what I'm saying? These colors don't run. Well, apparently these colors can't hide. They're bold, and it's for a reason, And Steve Rogers only seems to hang out with people who can do the things that he can't do, right? This was not an Avengers call, but he's sitting there hanging out with all these people who are used to hiding in the shadows, operating under the streets, in the dark alley, knives and guns instead of, fists and shields. It's great everybody involved in this comic book really understands who Captain America is and understands who all these other characters are also. There's every so often you'll see like a movie reference, right? At one point, you're just going to sit on America's ass and hide from the world and blah, 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 blah. Great movie reference. That is America's ass. That's whatever. It is what it is. But they don't, in this comic book, they're not abiding by the edicts of the MCU. Peggy Carter showed up in this with Sharon Carter, and they're like, oh, it's been so long since I've seen you, hugs. And there's no awkward, oh my God, Steve banged both of us and we're aunt and niece? Yeah, because that never happened. That never happened. Not in the comic books, at least. They made it in the movies, which makes it for some super awkward crap. In this particular case, the comic books, no. There was no need for that. It's just a thing. I knew your mom. Your mom was a badass. I knew your aunt. Your aunt was a badass. Hey, want to duck to the side and, did you do it with my aunt? Hell no. Well, then, yeah, let's go do it. Like, it's as simple as that. That's not difficult. This arc is called The Invader. If you read the comic book, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a particular invader in here who's talking and, hanging out with Steve, and shows up a lot more than some of the other radio silence people who he's been hanging out with. And there's certain implications in here that he's going to get back in the line of duty. He wants it. He needs it. And again, too much with the invaders in this. And Steve is already hurt. One of the things I say, this is about to matter. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand about being in a well of depression, when they say you gotta bounce back, man. You gotta bounce back. All right, you're in a well right now. You gotta bounce back. So what people usually try to do is they'll try and grab you and stop your descent, slow your descent, something, so that you're not falling so fast, so you don't disappear in the well. But here's the thing: when they talk about you got to bounce back, they're not understanding this one very key, important aspect of bouncing back. In order to bounce back, you have to hit the bottom. It's crucial. It's not just an analogy. It's fact. It's physics. And it works in the emotional world also. You can't possibly bounce back. And if somebody slows your descent and pulls you out and you haven't hit rock bottom, then you're not bouncing back. You're just hovering and you're being hoisted and you're climbing out and you don't really want to yet. And you're forcing it. And you're eventually going to find yourself back down that well again. And if you have friends who either are or aren't friends, and they won't just let you hit bottom, if they're not, give good advice to the person as they're falling, but let them hit so they can bounce, and then you be there to help them out when they're ready to come out, when they've got momentum propelling them out. Steve hasn't hit rock bottom yet. He's depressed, but he ain't at the bottom yet. This story arc is called The Invader, and I genuinely believe one of these invaders is going to die by the end of this arc. Quote me now, praise me later. I don't need praise. Small bronze statue in my efficacy would be fine. Anyway, I see it coming, and yet I know it's going to be emotional because I trust these storytellers. I trust the writers. I trust the artists that it is going to be heartbreaking. And again, nobody knows the invaders. Nobody cares about the invaders for the most part. Nobody cares. Nobody gets it. Namor and Cap, oh my God, we're invaders. Nobody's read those comic books, bro. You haven't. And it's fine. It's fine. By the end of the story arc, I will know if it's a success if a bunch of people start saying, I need to go back and read The Invaders. And I agree. Guys, I'm comparing this story 7 issues in with a supererogatory story. And I know that they're talking about Ian Rogers in this comic book, and they're looking at, Ian and the other thing. My phone alarm is about to go off, so I'm going to try and rush this. And I can't stop it. Excuse me. And it's happening in the other the other Captain America comic book, the Falcon Sam Wilson book. Maybe it's him, maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not actually reading that comic book. I don't want to. Oh man, what's going on? Jeez. Anyway, so that's annoying. I just lost my train of thought. Freaking gas. Anyway, I know that Ian is over there, and they're talking about Ian here. Maybe he's going to come back. Maybe he's not. I don't know. But there's a lot going on now where there's a lot of crossover with other comics. Hawkeye is in this comic book, and he's talking about the Thunderbolts and whatnot, which makes me say again, I gotta read this freaking comic book. Once it gets to once it finishes the first story arc, I'll probably go back and read it and do a review on it. It's Zub. I mean, I know it's going to be good. That's not hard, you know? I look at this comic book, though, man, and I'm, as early as this is, I'm comparing this to the Immortal Hulk run. I loved that run, and I love this run for very different reasons, while at the same time for the exact same reasons. Just like Al Ewing knew the Hulk and all the characters around him and told an incredible story, so too is that the case with this comic book. And you also happen to have an amazing freaking artist. Incredible art team. Everything about this comic book I am absolutely in love with, and I can't wait for more. This is fantastic. I don't know how it can get better, but I wouldn't be surprised if they surprised me. Anyway, guys, I'm going to bounce another minute before that alarm goes off. Like the video, watch an ad. Oh, by the way, next issue is looking hot as hell. Emma Frost from the X world, Krakoa, is going to be in this issue. Hells yes. I can't wait to see what's about to happen in this one. How do these two know each other? Anyways, guys, talk to you later. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.